Russian diplomatic representatives of the time indicate that the objective of the Armenian revolutionaries was to create turmoil and to trigger a reprisal by the Ottomans, thus securing the intervention of foreign countries to the ongoings. On the other hand, the diplomatic representatives of colonialist states, along with Christian missionaries dispersed throughout Anatolia, played a significant part in transmitting Armenian propaganda to Western public opinion and on its adoption. By far, the greatest damage was wrought on the Turks by the massacres perpetrated by Armenians during World War I. During that period, Armenians were engaged in acts of espionage on behalf of Russians, evaded the call to take up arms as foreseen by the declaration of mobilization, and those who had enrolled committed high treason by joining the ranks of the Russian army, not forgetting to take their arms with them as they fled. From the very outset of mobilization, Armenian gangs engaged in whole-scale massacres against Turkish units, raided Turkish villages, inflicting heavy damage on the civilian population. For example, all the inhabitants of Van's Zeve village were killed by Armenians with no discrimination whatsoever between women, children, and the elderly. In other words, committees such as Hınçak and Taşnak and numerous terror organizations set up outside Anatolia by Britain and Russia incited the Armenian people conducting a peaceful life in Anatolia to take action. In the face of rebellions and massacres, which were the outcome of provocation aimed at dividing the Ottoman territory, the Ottoman government, instead of taking retaliatory action, merely informed the Armenian Patriarch, Armenian deputies, and prominent members of the Armenian community, stating that, and I quote, "Necessary measures would be taken in the event Armenians continue to massacre Muslim citizens," unquote. However, the escalation of incidents deemed it necessary to secure the safety of what lied beyond the front lines where the army was engaged in warfare. It was to serve this purpose that the Armenian committees were banned on April 24th, 1915, and 2,345 people were arrested on charges of being involved in subversive activity against the state. So, April 24th, which the Armenians of diaspora commemorate each year as the so-called anniversary of Armenian genocide, is in fact the day when these committee members accused of subversive activities and of massacring innocent people were arrested. As can be seen, this date is far from having any connection with an alleged act of genocide and is in no way related to the implementation of relocation, which is claimed to constitute the basis of the allegations of genocide. Seeing that arresting Armenian committee members had not sufficed in quelling the incidents, the Ottoman government resorted to the evacuation of Armenians, along with many other citizens of the state, from the war-torn regions to safer ground in other parts of the country. Contrary to allegations voiced time and again by Armenians, 1.5 million Armenians had not been killed during this relocation. As a matter of fact, statistical data belonging to the Ottoman state, as well as those of Armenian and other foreign sources, indicate that the number of Armenians living within the boundaries of the Ottoman state did not exceed 1.250 million. The relocation bill passed by the Assembly on May 27, 1915, did not cover the entire Armenian population. Along with the Armenians of the Catholic and Protestant faith, those serving in the Ottoman army, as well as those members of the health corps, clerks employed by the Ottoman Bank, and certain consulates, had not been subjected to relocation on condition that they retained their loyalty to the state. On the other hand, the sick, the disabled, and the aged, as well as widows and orphans, were also excluded from relocation. Instead, they were taken under protection at orphanages and villages. Their needs were met by the state's Allocation for Migrants Fund. This extremely sensitive implementation alone is proof of the Ottomans' goodwill regarding relocation. In line with the relocation bill and within the framework of the orders issued on the basis of this law, Armenians evacuated from the provinces of Erzurum, Van, and Bitlis were relocated in the southern regions of Musul, Zor, and Urfa, while those from Adana, Aleppo, and Marash were sent to eastern Syria and to the eastern and southeastern regions of Aleppo. The relocation of Armenians was meticulously carried out with utmost discipline. This between June the 9th, 1915 and February the 8th, 1916. The number of Armenians who were made to migrate through various means was strictly controlled both at departure and at the arrival of a convoy to its new destination. According to figures taken from pertinent documents of the Ottoman archives, a total of 438,758 people were relocated, and 382,148 of these safely reached their new destinations. As can be seen, the number of casualties had occurred as follows: 500 people on the road between Erzurum and Erzincan, 2,000 in Meskene between Urfa and Aleppo, and 2,000 others on the outskirts of Mardin, and these were massacred in attacks launched by bandits or nomadic Arabs. Another 5,000 people were killed in attacks on convoys passing through Dersim. It was understood from these documents that many people had also fallen victim to hunger while on the road. Apart from these, some 25,000 to 30,000 people had lost their lives when struck by fatal diseases such as typhoid and dysentery. In all, an estimated 40,000 casualties had been registered during relocation. The remaining 10,000 to 16,000 people were made to stay in provinces they had reached when the implementation of relocation was brought to an end. For instance, on April the 26th, 1916, orders were given to provide the return to and the settlement in the province of Konya of those Armenians setting out from the province to new destinations. On the other hand, many other Armenians are believed to have fled either to Russia or to Western countries, including the United States. In fact, there is not a dramatic difference between the number of evacuees and those arriving safely at their destination, so the allegation of genocide carried out during relocation can definitely be ruled out. There was not a single Armenian killed by the Ottoman army during this implementation with the intention of conducting genocide. Relocation had been carried out not with the aim of annihilating the Armenians, but with the intention of protecting them, as well as assuring the security of the state. The Armenians of diaspora, however, conducted a propaganda campaign against the Ottoman state based on fictitious accusations and slander. Historical realities are different in that, by relocating the Armenians, the Ottoman state had in fact saved them from annihilation and had taken unprecedented action to protect them. The existence today of Armenian people in Turkey can be construed as proof that genocide had not been practiced on them. If genocide had been carried out as alleged, then the Armenian population and their present positions would have differed drastically.